My dad said we're skipping your kid's birthday, money's tight. I believed him. The next day, I opened Facebook and saw his post mountains of gifts, all for my sister's kids. My son looked up at me and whispered, "Mom, don't they need me that night?" I took back every payment I'd made toward their mortgage. By 7 a.m., my dad was beating on my door, red-faced, begging me. I don't know what I expected when I picked up the phone that morning, but it wasn't what I got. My dad's voice came through flat, no warmth, just a casual, "Hey, we're not going to make it to Tyler's birthday this year." No explanation at first, just that like it was a dentist appointment they couldn't reschedule. When I asked why, he gave me the excuse money's tight, said they were cutting back. That the mortgage was bleeding them dry, said they were sorry but hoped Tyler would understand. I said he would, and he did. He's 10 old enough to notice, but kind enough not to make it harder. We canceled the little party we planned. I made cupcakes from a box mix. Tyler helped decorate them with those cheap sprinkles that don't even taste like anything. We watched a movie, no complaints, not from him at least, but that night after he went to bed, I opened Facebook. I wasn't even snooping, just habit scrolling, that's when I saw it. My dad had posted a full album, 37 photos, all from that day, except it wasn't at our house, it was at my sister Emily's. Her backyard looked like a damn carnival, streamers everywhere, balloons tied to every chair, a bounce house. A freaking ice cream truck parked in the driveway. I clicked through this picture slowly, like I was trying to prove to myself it wasn't what it looked like, but it was. My niece and nephew twins, grinning with frosting on their faces, my dad holding a massive gift basket with a sign that said to the best grandkids, a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Emily popping a bottle of champagne like she just won the Super Bowl, and the caption on the post, "Nothing brings a family together like celebrating the ones we love most." I stared at it, just stared. My fingers were frozen over the screen. I hadn't even known it was the twins' birth. No one had said a word, no invite, no heads up, and yet there was my family, all of them, my parents, my sister, her in-laws, a full party, fully funded, while Tyler and I sat at home with leftover pizza and a paper banner I made myself. Tyler came out of his room while I was still sitting there. He had his old teddy bear, the one my parents gave him last year. He climbed onto the couch next to me and looked at my phone screen. He didn't say anything at first, just looked. Then he asked me a question I'll never forget. "Mom? Don't they need me?" I felt something shift, like something just cracked in my chest. I kissed the top of his head and told him to go back to bed. Then I opened my laptop. What no one in that Facebook album knew, not even Emily, was that for the past year, I had been covering half my parents' mortgage quietly. They came to me last October saying they were behind and they couldn't keep up. I had been sending payments monthly, transferring money directly to the loan account. Never once asked for it back while they were throwing champagne birthday parties for Emily's kids. I was skipping haircuts and selling my old jewelry just to keep them afloat. I opened the bank site, found every transfer, and I didn't just cancel the next payment. I disputed the last 5, marked them all as unauthorized. I knew it might get messy. I didn't care. I had the emails, the texts, the paper trail. By 7:03 the next morning, I was scrambling eggs when someone started pounding on the door. Not knocking, pounding. I looked through the people. It was my dad, hair wild, slippers on, face red, and furious, like he'd just run through a wall. I didn't open the door right away. Just stood there and watched him through the glass because for once he was the one left outside. And that was just the beginning. I opened the door because I didn't want the neighbors watching him bang like a lunatic. He didn't even let me speak, walked in like he still lived here and went straight into the kitchen behind me. "What the hell did you do?" I didn't answer, just poured myself a cup of coffee and waited. He was shaking with fury, but underneath it I could hear the panic. He said the mortgage account was in chaos, and that the payments were bouncing and the bank had called first thing in the morning. They were being threatened with penalties, late fees. I watched him ramble on like this was all some wild injustice. I had landed on his doorstep without warning. Then came the line I was waiting for. "You're seriously going to screw over your own parents just because of a birthday party?" That did it. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe he said it out loud. I told him it wasn't just a birthday party. It was a pattern, years of being the one who understood, the one who gave without asking. T1 who never got included unless it was convenient. I reminded him I'd been covering part of their mortgage since last fall, on top of raising 2 kids alone, never once asked for anything in return, not even thanks. And while I was clipping coupons to keep up with their bills, they were buying a magician and booking a damn ice cream truck for Emily's kids. My son got a rain check and a cupcake. He tried to pull back, claims the party had been planned months ago, said it wasn't personal, that they didn't think we'd want to come anyway because it was just family. That one landed hard. I asked if that's what Tyler was to him now, not family. He stammered something about how we always been more independent, that I was stronger, more understanding. Tad Emily needed more support because she had more going on. I asked if what she had going on included private school, tuition and Botox, because from where I was standing she looked fine. Then he looked me dead in the eye and said, "We didn't think we needed to worry about you, that was it, not even an apology." Just a confirmation that I had been their fallback plan all along. I told him the help was over for good. No more payments, no more quiet support, no more pretending if they wanted to live like Emily, as kids were the center of the universe, they could start footing the bill themselves. That's when the guilt trip came. "Do you know what this is gonna do to your mother?" I said she was welcome to call me anytime she wanted to talk like an adult. Then I opened the door and waited until he walked out. He didn't say another word. I barely sat down before Emily's name flashed on my phone. She started with the usual, pretending she had no idea what was going on, acting surprised. Then came the guilt. I made their lives harder. I embarrassed our parents. I hurt their feelings. I asked her if she wanted me to forward the emails with the payment records, or maybe the text from Dad asking me not to tell her I was helping them. Silence. Then she said, the sentence that tied it all together, "Things are more complicated than you." That was all I needed to hear, because now I knew this wasn't an accident. It wasn't a miscommunication. It was a setup, one where I was expected to keep everyone else afloat quietly while they got to pretend they were doing just fine without me until I wasn't useful anymore. And I wasn't just gonna shut off the faucet, I was gonna let them feel what it was like when the foundation they took for granted finally cracked. They thought they were the ones in control. They forgot who was really holding the strings. They thought I'd calm down. That I'd cool off after a few days and things would go back to the way they always had. Me footing the bills while they played house. They underestimated just how deep this cut went. I didn't just stop the payments, I cleaned house first. I logged into every account where I'd ever helped. The phone bill that Mom had tacked onto mine gone. Her line was cut by that afternoon. The Hulu account they used for movie nights logged out and locked. Every shared login, every automatic transfer, every quiet little gift, I reversed it, revoked it, shut it all down. The worst part, I found things I'd forgotten. I was even paying for a credit card that Dad had just needed for a few months. A car insurance policy where my name was still listed as a co-signer for Emily's minivan. I spent the entire evening tearing through paper trails. At one point, I just sat there laughing because I realized my sister hadn't even been paying for her kids' dental coverage. That had been me too. I didn't announce any of it. I wanted them to feel it slowly. Let it creep in and hit them when it mattered most. Like when Emily went to fill a prescription, found her coverage had changed, or when my parents tried to use the grocery rewards card I'd been topping up monthly, it came back empty. By the end of the week, Mom finally called me. I let it go to voicemail. She left one of those passive messages pretending she didn't know what was going on. "Hey sweetie, just checking in. Your dad's been a little stressed lately, and we were hoping maybe we could all sit down and talk. It's been a weird week, huh? Weird." That's what she called it. The next call came from Aunt Julie. She only calls when someone's in damage control mode. Sure enough, she opened with concern and ended with a plea. "I just think there's been some hurt feelings on both sides. You know how your dad gets. He doesn't always mean the things he says. He's stubborn, but he loves you, honey." I asked her a simple question. Did she know I'd been paying their mortgage? There was a pause, then she sighed. "They said you offered that it wasn't supposed to be permanent." They said I offered. I didn't bother explaining how I'd been cornered into it after Dad called crying about losing the house, or how they'd sworn they'd pay me back once things got better. They never did. They just got quieter about it, and now that the money stopped, they were suddenly loud again. Tyler, bless him, noticed all of it. Kids always do. He started asking why no one had called to say happy birthday, why Grandma hadn't come over like she usually did the weekend after. I told him we were doing things a little differently. Now, he nodded like he understood, and then out of nowhere he started doing the coldest thing I've ever seen. He stopped answering when they called. If my mom left a message, he wouldn't even listen. If her name popped up on the screen, he'd hand me the phone and walk out of the room. And once when I asked him why, he just said if they don't need us, I don't need them either. That's when I realized it wasn't just me they cut. They'd lost him too, and no apology was gonna fix that. But they weren't done trying. Not even close. The next thing they did took it to a whole new level, and it made everything so much worse. I should have known they wouldn't take the loss quietly. The silence lasted about 2 weeks. Then came a text from Emily, just a short one. "Can we talk?" I ignored it. Then came another. "Not about us, it's about Mom, please." She knew exactly what buttons to press. I called straight to the point. She said Mom had a medical bill come through, some imaging scan. They were overwhelmed. She didn't ask for money directly, but the way she phrased everything made it clear. They were expecting me to step back in. I told her to send the invoice, not because I believed her, but because I wanted proof. She hesitated, said it was complicated. That's when the alarm bells went off. I pulled up the Share Family Google Drive folder we used to use for documents, taxes, insurance, old receipts. It hadn't been touched in a while, but I still had access, and that's where I found something I wasn't supposed to see. A spreadsheet titled Family Fund 2025, created by Emily. At first, I didn't know what I was looking at. Then it hit me. It was a breakdown of my contributions over the past 2 years. My payments, the mortgage help, the dental, the grocery cards, even a column for miscellaneous support with notes like Laura sent $200 in March. They'd been tracking me every dollar. And here's the worst part. There was another tab titled Replacement Plan. Emily had written out a strategy. Brutal notes like asking Julie for bridge loan if Laura stops, sell hook, sell extra vehicle dad struck, do not tell Laura about backup plan. They were planning for the moment I cut them off. Like it was some theoretical scenario. They had discussed how to replace me. I felt sick. Not because of the money, but because they had been treating me like a utility, like a financial backup generator. I screenshotted the entire spreadsheet, sent it to Emily with one line. "This what you wanted to talk about?" She didn't reply for a full hour, then she tried to call. I didn't answer. Instead, I forwarded the screenshots to Aunt Julie, who'd been nagging me to be the bigger person. Told her if she had any questions, she could ask Emily what the replacement plan meant. The next day, things exploded. My mom showed up at my door completely unannounced. I hadn't seen her since before Tyler's birthday. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept. Said she was disappointed I was digging through private things. I asked her if she knew about the spreadsheet, about the way they'd been talking about me behind my back. She hesitated. Then she said something I will never forget. I told them it was a mistake to write it down, not that it was wrong, not that they shouldn't have done it, just that they shouldn't have written it down. And that's when I realized there was no saving this, no therapy, no tearful reunion, no moment of clarity. They didn't regret what they did. They just regretted getting caught. I told her she needed to leave. She looked stunned, like it was just now sinking in that. I wasn't bluffing that. I wasn't just mad, I was done. Tyler was watching from the hallway. She looked over at him like she thought he'd run to her. He didn't. She walked out with nothing. And that night something happened I didn't expect. A PayPal notification pinged on my phone. $1,000 from Aunt Julie message. Do not tell them I had no idea. I'm so sorry. The family web was unraveling faster than I thought, and I hadn't even pulled the last string yet. The PayPal payment from Aunt Julie changed something, not because of the money. I didn't need it, but because it confirmed what I was starting to suspect. This wasn't just a messy family rift, this was a slow collapse. The kind that happens when one person stops holding up the ceiling and everyone underneath starts scrambling to dodge the falling beams. 2 days after Julie sent the money, my cousin Melanie, her daughter, messaged me on Instagram. She was blunt. I saw what Emily posted, just so you know everyone's talking. I asked what she meant. She sent a screenshot. Emily had gone full murder mode. She posted a long caption over a photo of her twins taken at the party I wasn't invited to, saying, "Some people don't understand how hard it is to keep a family together." That she never expected to be betrayed by someone who used to love her children like her own, that she was learning to let go of the ones who only show up when they want control. That's what she thought this was about. I replied to Melanie and asked if anyone else believed her. She said, "Some of the extended family did it first until they saw the spreadsheet." Apparently, Aunt Julie had forwarded it to everyone. She sent it to Uncle Ron, to my mom's sister in Arizona, to the cousins group chat. Even the quiet ones who never speak unless someone dies got involved. That's when it hit me. They weren't trying to fix anything anymore, they were trying to manage perception. The only thing that mattered now was how it looked, so I let them twist. I didn't respond to the post. Didn't defend myself, didn't comment or drop receipts. I just watched, and then like clockwork, the messages came. First from my dad, not angry anymore, desperate. "We never meant for this to happen. Can we just talk?" Then from my mom, "Please don't destroy the family over a misunderstanding." Then Emily, finally, "If this is about money, we can figure something out." That last one made me laugh. They still thought this was about money. That's when I decided it was time to finish this. I wrote one message, just one, and sent it to the entire group. Parents, Emily, her husband, Julie, everyone. I said I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped pretending you were happy to take from me until I asked to be treated like I mattered. You used my kindness as currency and called it love. You don't get access to me or my son anymore. Not now, not ever. Good luck with the replacement plan. I blocked them all. Every number, every email, every social gone. The silence that followed was the cleanest sound I'd heard in months. But I wasn't done yet. There was still one last move to make a detail I hadn't told them. One more string they didn't even know existed, and I was ready to cut it. They thought it was over. After I blocked them, everything went quiet. I think they believed I'd made my point, that I just needed space. And eventually I'd come crawling back like I always had. Emily probably figured she could wait me out. My parents probably hoped guilt would rot a hole in my silence, but there was one thing none of them knew. 3 years ago, when my parents were neck deep in debt, I didn't just help with the mortgage, I refinanced the house in my name quietly. I did it because their credit was trashed and the bank wouldn't touch them. I was scared for them back then, scared they'd lose everything. So I stepped in. No one else knew, not even Emily. My name had been sitting quietly on that paperwork ever since. For 3 years, I'd been paying partial mortgage payments while legally owning the deed. Now I wanted it back. I pulled every document, called the mortgage company, and explained the situation. My name, my equity, my decision. I wasn't evicting them, not yet, but I initiated the process of removing my name from the loan and forcing a refinance. The lender said without my credit they wouldn't qualify. Not even close. Which meant the house, it wasn't theirs anymore, not unless they figured out a miracle. I sent one final email, no emotion, no explanation, just the facts. I've removed myself from the mortgage. You had 60 days to refinance or sell. If not, I will initiate legal repossession. And that email was the earthquake. The quiet before had been tension. This was collapse. My phone blew up, calls, emails. I even blocked numbers, trying to get through. I didn't answer a single one. I didn't need to. And Julie did, though. She called to tell me that Emily had broken down at some family brunch, sobbing that I was tearing apart their lives. She said my mom looked gray and my dad refused to eat. I told her they'd be fine. Emily still had her bounce house memories, and Tyler. He was thriving, happy, lighter even. He didn't ask about them anymore, didn't check the mailbox for birthday cards that never came. He didn't need their love anymore to feel whole because I had finally shown him what self-respect looked like. And that was the end of it. No final showdown, no dramatic reconciliation, just silence. Real permanent silence. They thought they could lie, manipulate, and leech off me forever. They forgot one thing. I wasn't one of the parents in this family. I was the parent, and I would never again let people like that near my son. I had given everything, time, money, patience, grace, thinking maybe one day they'd see me. Not as a wallet, not as a safety net, but as family. Instead, they saw me as a resource to drain until I was dry. The irony is, when I finally cut the strings, they were the ones left flailing. Tyler and I rebuilt quietly. Our life was smaller in some ways, but it was ours. We baked cupcakes that actually tasted like something. We watched movies without wondering whose account was paying for it. We laughed without checking if it was convenient for someone else. He learned something most kids don't figure out until their much older. Family isn't always the people you're born to. Sometimes it's the people who show up when it matters. As for my parents and Emily, I don't know what they did after the 60 days ran out. Maybe they sold the house. Maybe they begged the bank for mercy. Maybe they turned on each other, pointing fingers in the same way they once pointed. Tem at me, I didn't check, I didn't care, because the truth is, the moment Tyler asked me, Mom, don't they need me? I realized the answer: they never did. Not really. What they needed was someone to hold everything together while they pretended to live in a perfect little bubble. And when that someone stopped being me, the bubble popped. I didn't get revenge, I got freedom, and so did my son.